It's your 27th birthday and you got the winning goal.
This goal is not only for me, but this was for my grandpa, because he is 80 in 1 week, and he supported me when I was a young guy, and so this goal is for him.
We come in the middle of February with 40 points, and we put our fans to dream about Champions League, and we play 2 hard games against these teams, and you can see we are not far from them. We have this time, 3 months, to continue to play in the same way, to continue to grow up, and to continue to fight for every point until the end of the season.
Would you have one final message for Andre if he's watching on?
In this difficult time, football has to go away, because he really struggle what's happening in Ukraine, what's happened especially with his family. I just hope that Andre and his family will be happy, and same as all Ukrainian and all the world people.
How remarkable was the performance by Max Kilman today, given what's happening? His mum's from Kiev.
We have people with him. He stays comfortable every time. We know that we talk with his family. This family, it's okay. So we need to live that day by day. But for now, the kid is in a good position.
Well, that was a very big win, a really hard-worked win, wasn't it?
It was. I think all the Premier League games at the moment are really tough. I think the level of the teams in and around the top end and the bottom end by the results at the moment is very good.
Big win for West Ham. That when you have a one game match of the day too, you could always do with an entertaining game, and we didn't really get one, did we?
No, we didn't. And I think when we saw the changes that Wolves made, they made 5 changes, and the one real tough part of the game was the support up to Silva. He really struggled to get bodies in and around him. He wasn't helped at all. And when you look at the way that Wolves set themselves up and the lack of support he got, he needed so much more. And I really felt sorry for him in the game.
And we'll look at that in just a moment. As far as West Ham were concerned for you looked at something that they did a little bit differently today.
Yeah, well, I was intrigued by the way they set up. I felt they'd take the game to Wolves, but that wasn't really the case. They did something a little bit differently. They played Fornells and Cresswell a little bit deeper on the left-hand side. But it ultimately won them the game. They had over 50% of their attacks down the left-hand side, not too much through the middle and the centre, and that's what we're seeing now is West Ham's normal back four. But Fornells was asked to play a much deeper role, much more like a wing-back. And what it did was it nullified Wolves, but it also hindered West Ham at the top end of the field. So normally he'd be in that forward position, making runs to give his team options, but he wasn't able to do that. It was very rare that we saw him in these high areas of the field where he belongs, where he can affect the game. You see the reaction, getting players forward, and once he was into these positions, he could create, get forward, and a good West Ham attack came from this. They did have good fluidity when he got forward. They did create chances, but David Moyes asked for a much more disciplined role from him. Now, you can do that if you get the results like they did today. So they'll look back on this and see how negative he was. He should be running forward there, but no, stay in your position, nullify the opposition. Ask Cresswell to go in, so Fornells will stay in a much deeper position. But that's what made it a tough afternoon for us watching it, because it wasn't about being entertaining and getting forward. It was about being workmanlike, stopping the opposition. But as you've just seen there, when he got into these positions, he created stuff for his team. When they went to a back four and allowed him to get closer to Antonio at the top end of the field, their best attacks came down this left-hand side, and this was a great back heel, great link-up, which ultimately led to the winning goal of the game. So David Moyes will look back on this as a job well done. Has
he always worked with disciplined, wide men prepared to do a job for the team, David Moyes?
He always asked players like us to just get our heads down and do the job and let the other players go on and do stuff.
Did they always agree?
They always were happy because they were created. Me and Fornells were asked to do all the defensive dogged displays.
We saw the goal there. It's been very rare that Wolves have been criticised defensively this season, but they did. One player in particular switched off for the goal.
Yeah, Roman Saiz, poor decision-making. You look at the Wolves and they're so good at organised, defending the box, and they're usually very well organised. The one thing he cannot do here is go past the front post. And we were watching this clip and we're thinking, What is going on in his mind? What is he thinking? And we look at Lanzini, who's highlighted here, and you're thinking, well, Dendoncker can cover that, so he can deal with that. But he steps out, he feels that he has to be the player. Then he leaves Souček behind him. You cannot vacate that area. It's such a bad decision. Now, he can't get a shout because the one thing you have to do is hold that front post area. You have to hold in front of your goalkeeper for that simple pullback. Mikel Antonio doesn't even give him the eyes. He's looking straight at where he's passing the ball.
It's incredible. Wolves were 3v2, quite comfortable in that area. And, you know, for a team that's conceded, I think that's only their 21st goal of the season, they've been quite incredible defensively. They haven't made many mistakes like that, but that was a big one that was the difference in the game. Souček, with his 4th goal, hasn't scored many this season, certainly not as many from midfield as he did last season. He'll be delighted with that goal on his birthday.
You can see it on his birthday. You have read your start pack, haven't you? You could see Conor Cody turn around in surprise, actually, to where Saïs had gone on that.
His team have been, as I said, so well organised. The best defensive, well, one of the best. Manchester City have been incredible too. Chelsea are good, but they've been brilliant defensive. It's what's got them to where they are, because in an attacking sense, they haven't been as good. The defender has gotten them. That was a huge mistake that Cody was right to ask questions about.
Let's go back to your point then, right at the start, about how they just didn't get forward enough, really, Wolves, and they had made a lot of changes going into this game.
Yeah, they had. They made 5 changes, and I think Semedo was the change that was enforced on the team. But the one player who was isolated was Fabio Silva. Only his 2nd start in the Premier League this season. But when you look at him here, does extremely well. His job is to hold the ball up. It's to link play. He does that. And then you look at Hwang and Trincao and you think, where's your runs forward? They're not even moving. They're looking to come deeper. And then it's left on Fabio Silva again to lengthen the game. Really good run from him in behind. And you're thinking, OK, get on your bike, go and help him now. Go and support him, because anything that's knocked down, you can be in and around and you can try and help out Fabio Silva. They simply don't do it. This is him again, in between the centre-halves, which is a great position for him. But look at everyone's movement. This is Hwang, who usually plays higher up on the left-hand side. He has to get behind the midfield. Marcel usually would see Aït-Nouri in that position. He has to play a lot higher up as well. And when Hwang does receive this ball, he should be receiving it and driving forward, getting past the midfield. It's too slow. The ball across into Fabio Silva, who was feeding off scraps all game. Jose Sarr with a great distribution, lovely kick out. Now he needs help. You've got to bust a gut to get there. The gaps have to be smaller. You were asking about going into a game. How do you feel coming into it? It felt like neither team wanted to commit players forward, but Wolves were really poor for this, because he's got him in a 1v1 in the box. You look at this position now. Keanu Hoover, go forward. He feints to go forward, and then he holds his position, puts Semedo in that position. You've got a chance. And then you've got a left-footed right centre-half. That ball is on into Fabio Silva, and it doesn't come to him. It's negative, it's going back, and it's hugely frustrating.
Is that instructions from the coaching team, or do you think that's individuals, certainly further forward, who haven't played regularly this season and not up to... So obviously they're up to standard, maybe not up to the regular pace of a Premier League game.
No, I think when you look at the players, I think when you look at Semedo and you look at Aït-Nouri, I think they're forward-minded players. They think first, I want to go forward. I know you want to defend, but they're thinking the higher I can get, the further I push my winger back and defend higher up the pitch. And I think that suits them. The stats that we score there just tells you everything. Wolves failed to score for 12 games now, and there's only... Norwich and Watford, who scored less goals in less games than them. It's not good enough when you're chasing them top 4 positions.
Right, time.